did that mean? What did that look like? Well, I'm going to try to help us understand it a little bit by giving three different images. And the three images are, first of all, a step, first. Second is a view through a pair of sunglasses. And then the third is an empty cup. So let's see how many of these can help us understand a little bit about the resurrection. First of all, okay, think about this. Okay, if you look at just taking a step, just a step like that, it seems like no big deal. No big deal. Just if I'm up here taking one step, or maybe you're walking in church today, you'll be taking a few steps out of here. That's no big deal. You just sort of think about that. Sometimes some of us have to struggle a little bit more taking a step because maybe we're on a walker. Maybe some of us that are in wheelchairs are having a tough time getting around. Our steps are kind of rolling or whatever. We think about these steps and this movement forward. It's kind of a good way to think about this image of what the resurrection really is all about. Think about it. Think about, let's put ourselves in Jesus' situation. There he is at the moment of resurrection. He's back to life again. And he's thinking, I'm going to go back out there. I'm going to go out of this tomb. I'm going to have to take a step out of it. I have to walk out of the tomb. But just think what was going through his mind. It didn't go so well before me the first time. I mean, I don't know if I should do this again. And kind of thinking, I don't know, will they believe me? Will they really understand that it's me? Will they recognize me? Will they know it's me? I'm a little bit nervous about this. I don't know how this is going to go. But think about the courage and the energy and the faith and the belief that it took for Jesus to step out of that tomb. To take that first step out and say, hey, here I am. I've defeated death. And I want you to believe in that. I want you to follow me in this. I want you to understand what it is that I'm showing you. That we don't have to be defining ourselves anymore by our sinfulness or by our weakness. Because we have power over that because of the Spirit that raised Christ from the dead. Wow, think about that first step that Jesus took. The courage that it took, and the hope that it took, and the faith that it took. To walk out of that tomb and say, hey, here I am. Believe in me. Let me show you a new path, a new way. What a gift that was. It brought us all here together today. People all over the world celebrating this event. Well, I can't help but think about that step that Jesus took that led to resurrection and to us knowing about the resurrection, and to think about how we maybe in our life take different steps. Now, I thought about just those regular steps that we take. Sometimes that's no big deal. And maybe you can think about a step that was really difficult for you to take. Maybe it was a step into a new job. Or maybe it was a step into a new relationship. Or maybe it was some sort of step to come into church here this morning. Maybe that was a big, scary kind of thing. Gee, I've not had a big experience with church, where I really don't get what those people are all about, but my family wants me to come, so I'm going to step in here today, and hopefully I can get something out of it. That took courage, that took faith, that took belief in your family, and belief in yourself that you could come here this morning. The steps that we take in our life really do take a lot of courage, and some really do have a distinct bit of courage. Let me share something with you. I work at Catholic Charities USA, which is in Washington, D.C., but we have a big grant program where we hire veterans to do casework with other veterans. Now, the group of veterans that I've gotten to know that we hired to be able to do this work, I've met several times. At the first day, though, they all came for this training on how to do this case management work. You have seen these people. They've been on battlefields, they've been on boats, seen explosions, all kinds of stuff. They've seen unbelievable things. They've defended our country in a really special way. I thought they'd be kind of feeling invincible and feeling like, wow, here I'm a veteran, I've done all this, I'm feeling pretty strong. All of them, every last one of them, was wide-eyed and kind of nervous and a little bit scared. I don't know if I can do this case management stuff. I don't know if I can do this. Well, through the time of them actually doing it, that first step, I can do this. I'm going to see my first client. I'm going to implement this program that we're implementing, and I'm going to do the best that I can. You should see them now. They have such confidence and such belief in themselves. They're making a difference in people's lives. And the fact that one step that they took into doing this role as case managers is allowing other people to take new steps in their life. A healing step away from mental illness. A healing step away from drug addiction. A healing step away from fear and not being able to leave their house in some cases. To be able to go out and live their life in a new way. That step that those veterans have taken to become case managers have caused other people to take new steps of resurrection in their life. So I think maybe if we think about what today is all about, we can reflect on that first step that Jesus took out of the tomb, and maybe challenge ourselves a little bit to celebrate the steps that we've taken that have brought us to new life. And maybe celebrate the steps that we need to take yet. Maybe the step that we need to take this afternoon, or tomorrow, or next week, or next month. into that place that we never thought that we would go. That we know that the Spirit of Christ is walking with us. Let's step with that same hope, that same courage, that same conviction that took Jesus from the tomb into a message of life eternal. Let's follow that same step in everything that we do, in every way that we live. So the second thing I kind of want to share, I can give a little prop for this one. So here I have these really cool sunglasses that Regan gave me. So hey, pretty cool, huh? So here's these sunglasses. And as I look around here, everything looks pretty good. It looks a little bit different in here. It looks good. You guys look pretty good up there with these sunglasses. I think about this. You know, I mean, it's a little bright. Sometimes I don't know, maybe sometimes when you guys wear sunglasses, you know, you can kind of see things a little bit easier to see in the sun, or a little bit easier to kind of see. And things look a little bit different, or look a little bit maybe rosier, or look a little bit clearer, or look a little bit less fuzzy. You think about that. Well, we think about today, and what we're doing today, and what this feast is all about. This feast is calling us to look at the world in a whole new, in a whole different way. You know, I think before we knew about the resurrection, I think we could look at this world as being, gee, here we are, and the life is going to end. This is it. This is it. If this is it, then God, I'm kind of mad about it. I want a little bit more. I want something else. I want something greater. Today's feast calls us to look at the lens of our life through the lens of the resurrection. To be able to see things in a different way. To be able to see things all new, in a new and special and unbelievable way. Think about Mary Magdalene. When she first went to that tomb, what she expected to see was a dead body. What she expected to see was a tomb with somebody in it that was dead. She wanted to go and look at the body. She had to kind of look at her, look through a different lens. She had to kind of rub her eyes a little bit and say, wait a minute, is this the gardener? Or who is this guy in the garden here? No, it's Jesus. He's alive. He's alive right here. I need to give this. She was able to be challenged to see Jesus in that place that she never expected to see him. I think that's the challenge for us. Because of the resurrection, when we approach life, we're called to see it with a new way. You know, this isn't just it. What we see right here on the surface, this isn't just it. We're called to look a little bit deeper, to look through the lenses of the resurrection. We able to see life in a new and different way. Let me talk about those veterans that I was speaking about just a second ago. A number of them have spoken to me about how before they might see somebody on the street that was homeless and just see them as some kind of bum or somebody that was just milking the system or somebody that just wanted to live on the street. It's no big deal. But now through the work that they're doing, they're seeing through a different lens. They're able to see those people as people that struggle, people that have economic difficulties, with illness, addiction, whatever struggle that they're having. They're seeing that. They're just somebody that's trying to milk the system. I think it's the same thing for us as we approach our life. If we truly believe in the resurrection, then every person that we come in contact with, we should look through the lens of seeing the presence of the risen Christ in that person. So every person that we come in contact with that might drive us crazy, or that might think that it's really bugging, or maybe this afternoon we're going to have Easter dinner with our family that maybe we didn't want to, or that we kind of feel struggling about. But we know that we can look through the lens of the resurrection and be able to see the holiness and the sanctity of that person. Because Christ is alive. Is everybody that we come in contact with. If only we can see through the lens of new life, the lens of new hope, a lens of a faith that believes that death is no more, death is not the end. It's only the beginning of a new way of understanding life. And maybe we can really believe in what this feast is all about. A new lens to see life in a new way. Well, the third thing I kind of want to just reflect on real quickly is this concept of empty cup, an empty cup. Let me tell you a quick story. A few years ago, when I was working in cafeteria, I was in the cafeteria of our homeless shelter. And one of the clients had been admitted the night before. And he was in the cafeteria, and he had a big long beard, and he kind of had dirt stuck in his beard. I don't know kind of dirt. He had dirt in his beard. And you could kind of smell him coming from a little while, a little distance away. Kind of think, oh gosh, this guy hasn't been able to take a bath yet. So here he was, and he was kind of messed up a little bit. So I see him there drinking a cup of coffee. Then I see on the other side of the cafeteria, one of our staff people, who I know in my head to be slightly OCD, obsessive compulsive. This guy, his office is perfectly neat. His office is everything's completely clean. He's always washing his hands. Everything's completely straight and clean. He hates dirty, junky, messed up stuff. Well, I see the guy heading towards the homeless guy heading towards the staff person. He's got his cup, and I wonder how this is going to play out. And so I come back to see what's happening. So the guy comes up, and he's got his cup, and he takes a sip himself, and then he turns it over to the staff person. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what's this going to be? And he goes, hey, want a sip of my coffee? And the staff person, I could see, no. Okay, and he took a sip of it. I couldn't believe it. He took a sip of it and swallowed a bit of it and said, thank you so much. And so the guy, I just couldn't believe it. So I kind of went over to the guy that was the client and I said, hey, I saw you share your coffee cup. And he said, well, you know what? The coffee was just so good, I couldn't keep it to myself. I thought, wow, here you are, you come here, you don't have anything. And you've got this first cup of coffee here today, and you're sharing it with somebody else. What a cool thing to do. Then I went over to the staff person and I said, wow, what were you thinking? And he was thinking, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? How am I going to deal with this? But he had to recognize the dignity of that person and his offering of being able to share with himself. You know, that guy would have gone around all day. He would have an empty cup by the end of the day because he was sharing it with everybody else. You know, here today we read about an empty tomb. We see an empty tomb. A tomb that where we expected to see a dead body, it's empty. Because Christ was out sharing himself with everybody. He left that tomb empty so that he could pour himself out, his spirit out, his life out, so that everybody could know it in a new and special way. So that people could know it not defined by space or time, but throughout all space and throughout all time. So maybe in our life today, we can think about that. How can we empty out ourselves? How can we come out of ourselves? How can we empty our cup and share it with others so that we can share that relationship that Christ shares with us? So as we come here together today, we come here to celebrate something special. We come to celebrate the courage that it took Christ to step out of the tomb, and we step with that same courage and that same faith. We're called to celebrate the fact that we see things all new because of Christ's defeat of sin and death. Let's us see things in a new and special way. Maybe most importantly, let's think about how Christ left that tomb empty. And think about how you and I can empty ourselves out. And we can share the love of Christ that's inside of each one of us so that others may also know and celebrate Christ's love and Christ's new life in all that we do.